The stone, sand, and gravel industry has seen a steady decline in injuries over the last decades, but the decline in serious and life-altering injuries and fatalities has not been as steady compared to the total number of injuries. There is a need to focus on preventing SIFs, serious injuries and fatalities. To prevent SIFs, we need to first identify what tasks have a high potential to cause a serious injury or fatality. While any accident could be serious, not all of them have a high potential to result in a serious injury or fatality. For example, a slip, trip, or fall at ground level is less likely to result in an SIF compared to a slip, trip, or fall on a catwalk. So, the strategy to reduce SIFs is to focus on high potential activities, then identify and implement critical controls. Critical controls are actions, equipment, or procedures that must be in place prior to work beginning that can prevent someone from being seriously injured or killed. For example, a fall arrest system is a critical control when working at heights, and an entry permit is a critical control when entering a confined space. Prior to beginning a task, activities with high potential to cause an SIF need to be identified. One way to do this is by conducting a risk assessment. What is a risk assessment? A risk assessment is a way to manage hazards where a competent person evaluates a task, identifies potential hazards, analyzes the risks, and identifies critical controls to minimize those risks. The final step is documenting the risk assessment and the actions taken. A risk assessment should include all workers who will be involved with the task. A risk assessment may also be called a job safety analysis, or JSA, or a job hazard analysis, or JHA. When should you complete a risk assessment? There are 3 key times a risk assessment should be done. A risk assessment should be done when a task is a known high hazard, like working with electricity or entering a confined space. A risk assessment should be done prior to a non-routine task, like clearing a clog in a hopper or doing significant maintenance on a crusher. Some non-routine tasks may not seem hazardous, but because they aren't often performed, a risk assessment is key to refresh workers on what needs to be done to complete the task safely. Finally, even routine non-hazardous tasks can change and become complicated during the course of work. When this occurs, work should be stopped and a risk assessment should be completed. Once a risk assessment has been completed, determine if the work includes any of the following high-potential tasks. Working at heights. Entering a confined space. Working with electricity or stored energy. Mobile equipment. Lifting and rigging. Drilling and blasting. Working around water. Working around high walls. Working around moving machine parts. Contractors. If yes, your work involves any of these 10 high-potential activities, then you want to identify and implement critical controls which will be showcased in this 10-part Take Control video series. Please note, because each task and operation is unique, there may be additional controls that should be implemented that are specific to where you work. This Take Control series doesn't exclude existing injury prevention programs. Rather, it provides increased focus around high-potential activities and the critical controls to be put in place that prevent an SIF from occurring. Be sure to consult with the site supervisor at your location for additional instruction. Safety starts at the top of an organization, and leaders set the tone. Remember, what CEOs, presidents, and executives find important, those down the chain will also find important. Organizational leaders must be committed to leading safety efforts, fostering a strong safety culture, and never settling when it comes to safety. One of the best ways to improve safety is to engage workers at all levels. Buy-in from those who will be directly affected by new programs is essential for success. If your organization decides to implement this or any other SIF prevention program, make sure all workers are part of the process. Thank you for taking time to understand the prevention of serious injuries and fatalities. Please be sure to watch the specific video in this series that is related to your work activity.